We've suffered through the dark days of Fantastic Four, but can Marvel get it right? We're talking Fantastic Four first steps. We all know the story. 2005, 20th Century Fox had their first crack at it. They do okay. We're saying, all right, let's see what they do with the next. 2007, absolute train wreck. Didn't even get greenlit for a third movie. Galactus was a cloud, so he's looking for his get back. In 2015, we realized they don't know what they're doing. In 2019, Marvel says, yo, we know how to do characters. We know how to succeed on the big screen. Let us get those rights, go ahead and pass those over. And in 2025, we have Fantastic Four first steps. At this time, man, Fantastic Four is dealing with a lot. First, they got to save their world from Galactus. Second of all, Marvel needs some heroes. People have walked out of Marvel movies saying, I'm disappointed. This is fellows in game. Can you bring us back? And also the audience. The Fantastic Four needs to save the audience to get them back on board as we go into this new phase of Marvel. This is your boy, Flying It Jay, Minor League Films here. Like the video, sub to the video, hit the comments. Let me know what you thought of the movie. I'm about to talk about it. So we're going to jump into it. Let's do it. So, thumbnail title, they ruined it. There is a lot I like here, and there's some I don't. Some will go into spoiler category. So I'll say that for the end. If you've seen the movie, if you haven't seen the movie, just get through. I'll give you my rating, all that. If you haven't seen it, stick forward to the end of that. But let's go ahead and jump right into it. So, Fantastic Four first steps. We know what we got. Fantastic Four is back on the big screen. We got this future look, the 60s futuristic look coming from the probably in the comics, but coming from the not the video game, the TV show in the 60s. It was a very good look. I think they adapt that to this big screen success a lot. Like, this movie looks amazing. And I'll start with this. You got to see this on the big screen. For the effort they put in this movie, it's a $200 million budget. It's nothing crazy, right around the same Superman was, but I think they get the most out of a $200 million budget as they do here. This movie looks amazing. Go to space in here. That looks amazing. I think the action looks really good. A lot of things to see here. I kind of feel the same as I did walking out across the Spider-Verse, where it's like, I wish this was a video game. I can just run around this. I mean, there's Spider-Man video games, but for here, I just wish this was a video game so I can just run around and explore and hang out and just see all the little kinks of this world, because the TVs look futuristic, but yet again, retro, the world, the cars, all of that. I think the look in this, they came in with a vision and they got it done. The man behind that vision, director, Matt Shackman, he hasn't done a big screen movie yet that I've seen when I looked at him. I've seen a lot of TV shows, but I'm going to run down his little checklist here. So we got Monarch, the Godzilla show. I really like it. I'm actually watching that right now. Game of Thrones speaks for itself. The Boys speaks for itself. And then WandaVision, the ending of that we all didn't like, but COVID had a little interference with that. But a pretty good resume here as far as our Fantastic Four. We got Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Ebon Moss, Barrich. I knew I was screwed his name, but he's from The Bear, and we got Joseph Quinn, who was in the last Gladiator movie. I like our cast here. One, this movie starts fast. So I'm talking about my likes here. The movie starts fast. I think they do a good job of that. They introduce to the look of this world, and you see these action. Like, we don't do a big origin story. We don't do, we got to go to space. We got to see them, get hit by lightning and cosmic energy and all that. We jump right into it. We skip past that and say, hey, these are our heroes. They're well established. All that good stuff. Let's jump into it. And it opens up with a montage of them fighting. We get to see their powers in action. We get to see them being heroes. This has a lot, a lot of dynamics with Superman here. And it's funny because these are our two movies of the summer. Superman coming out 2 weeks ago. They were originally supposed to come out on the same weekend. This one coming out a couple weeks later. They say, Superman, go ahead, do your thing, and we'll do ours in a couple weeks. We'll all make money here. So similar budget too, but with the similarities in his movie with Superman is we saw that movie. He was kind of the big guy. He's the hero. Everybody loves him. Everybody kind of gravitates to him. That's like the Fantastic Four in this movie. In this world, we don't really see any other heroes that I can think of, unless there was one as like an Easter egg. It's basically a Fantastic Four. Everything goes through them. We got politics going through them. They're making deals with other countries. They're bringing people together. They're kind of the voice. They have their own running TV show they can jump on kind of whenever they need to. Their communication with the world, is very ongoing. They're kind of the stars of this world, the celebrities, whatever you want to call it. So I think that's really cool here. As far as this, another thing that's really good here is Fantastic Four. We've seen it in 2005. I said, it's cool seeing them hang out, but here I think the family dynamic is on another level. Obviously, Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Sue and Reed, their dynamic is good. We get to see them going through marriage. They're having a kid. We get to see their family dynamic really grow here and really work together and kind of see when they don't get along, what is that like? When they are getting along, what is that like? When they, loving each other, romantic, what is that like? I think you get everything you want to get from a family dynamic. Obviously, for Johnny Storm, my favorite character in this movie, I will say that right now. I think Johnny Quinn does a great job. I mean, he's funny at times, but also too, I think something with the old one that didn't have is like he has his purpose on this team. I think his dynamic, keeping them laugh, but he's figuring stuff out. He has a side story with Shia LaBeouf, who I'll get into in a little bit, but he actually, contributes. He does stuff. He's an astronaut too. He's not an idiot, and I think they do a good job with him. I really like his character in, and this is a guy I'm definitely looking forward to seeing in the future. Yvonne Moss Bardrich from The Bear. He's the one who I think they could have done a little more fleshing out. And you know me, when I talk to these movies, I say, hey man, I don't need 3 hour movies. I'm gotta be in here forever. This is one of those few movies where I will say I wish it could have been a little longer. I think his story has been grim thing. I think it's a little cut short. I think one of the big dynamics of him is everybody else, they look like they did when they went up to space. They look normal. They have these interactions. They can go out, find partners. All this is a giant boulder. He don't have just a group of friends out there he hangs out with all the time. It's basically his family that has powers. He doesn't have, he doesn't pick up women like that because he might kill him if he fall on me. You don't know. So I think they could have done a better job with him, but I do really like this family dynamic. A couple of Marvel problems here that I think we've solved. Okay. First of all, the comedy. I got to talk about that. Marvel has done a job of putting comedy before substance. They put comedy before action, character development, anything for a joke. I think the tone of this movie, they get right, which is very important. This movie is funny at times, but the comedy is not the headliner. This family is the headliner. These villains are the headliner. The dynamic is the headliner. The tone is the headliner. The comedy is not, but I think there's a lot of funny moments in this movie that you laugh, and I think they do well. But I think as far as Marvel going forward, they got to stick to this. They have to hold strong with this and say, hey, this is how you do it. This is how you get this movie across without leaning too much on the comedy. I do like that. Also, the villain problem. So we know this. Fantastic Four is out. They're saving people, get their family dynamic. They're having a child. Then Shala Ball shows up, played by Julia Garner, who's one of my favorite up-and-coming actors. She shows up and shows up. She means business. We see it in the trailer. She pulls up and says, hey, your planet is marked for death. I'm serving this dude named Galactus who you don't want to see, but when he get here, it's going to be problems. Basically tells them, hey, that girl you had a crush on forever, you better tell her now. The people you got beef with, you better squash it now, because if you don't, Galactus will. So basically, this planet is up for stakes, and the Fantastic Four, everybody looking at them like, hey, you are heroes. You weren't supposed to help us out. Reed Richards, you smartest person on the planet. Figure it out. So I think there's a cool dynamic here also, too, with their family. They're like, hey, man, we're under pressure here. The world is looking at us, and you kind of got to see them work together and really figure that out as a team, which is basically that team building. Another cool thing here, we talked about it with the Superman video that we did before this, and say, it'd be really cool to see Superman go to space. They go to space in this movie. It's very cosmic at times, and it's kind of the middle section in here. And I think it's one of the coolest, really the coolest interaction kind of in space I've ever seen. I mean, there's a black hole here that looks absolutely awesome. Seeing the Silver Surfer in space looks cool. We get to first go to Galactus and his ship. I think all that is awesome, and kind of my favorite part of this movie really is kind of this middle section when they go to space, because it's really something I haven't seen before, and I think they do a really good job at it. But leaving space, the Fantastic Four is set with this dynamic that I think really pushes this movie forward. Okay, we all know this. We've seen the trailer. They're having a child. Galactus says, hey, man, I know I told you I was going to come and smack the planet, going to soccer kick it across the universe and blow it up. No, I'm actually going to eat it. But, you got this child here. He's got some powers that you can't see, but I know he has, and I'll do you one. If you trade me this child, I'll leave your planet alone. Y'all can live in harmony. Hey, man, you can make another kid. Look, y'all go back home, do some of that loving you were doing earlier, make another kid, or your whole planet is gone. That's the dynamic. Fantastic Four says, hey, Vin Diesel, we're a family. We're not doing that. So they go back, and of course, everybody's like, hey, what happened? It's like, hey, man, we got this barter. He either wants our kid or you're going to destroy the planet. They're like, easy choice. So you give up the kid. But that's a little too easy, and that would cut the tension here. So Fantastic Four is that was the problem where they got to deal with the Galactus. They know he's coming, and then they have their son, but they want to protect people, and that's kind of the dynamic they've been tasked. And I think it's really cool here seeing people kind of flip on them, seeing people say, hey, like, we have families too. We don't want to die. Like, we know this dude's coming, and obviously you've seen him now. You can't really stop him, which is good. He's not a cloud. He's not somebody you can just blow away in here. He's a real purpose, and he is going to show up because he said he will. So a lot of great dynamics in this movie, a lot of stuff to play. I think Galactus is very threatening. The villain problem Marvel has, they don't have it here. I mean, you see him and you're like, damn, there's really nothing you can do here. And I know you got an impossible choice, but even the kids are like, you might want to think about giving that kid up because we don't know if we can stop him. I think he's threatening. I think he has a lot of good dialogue here. And also Shala Ball as the Silver Surfer. We flesh her out a lot here. I think there's a lot of dynamic to her character. We see her back home for a little bit and how she became Silver Surfer. We see her. She has a lot of interaction with Johnny Storm as he's trying to figure out maybe a way to communicate her because he's left with some dialogue to figure out. I think they do a lot with her, and obviously I want people to see the movie. I don't want to spoil it too much, but they do a lot with her that's really cool. And I think Galactus, if you said, "Hey man, like you didn't show me no Galactus, I got to go to the theater and see it. You better deliver." They deliver on Galactus in a big way. I think it's really cool here. And then when he eventually comes, you see him in full form. I think it's pretty awesome. A couple things that I really don't like, and I'm not spoiling it yet, but I feel like this movie is very formulaic and very safe. I feel like there's certain things that are like, okay, we have this problem. Well, quick fix. We're smart. We can do this, and it's just like it's hard to really buy into that like that fast. It's like you go along with it because the movie is good and you're riding with it, but it's a little of those things where it's like, okay, we can do this with an egg. Well, that doesn't mean you can just do it with anything. Like, you know, a little bit of a beef with that, but also they have kind of a way to figure out problems in 5 minutes, and it happens a lot in this movie. Do you like it? Do you hate that? I mean, that could just be a me thing, but it's something that I didn't like very much. But yeah, also again, I feel like this movie is safe, and I gotta kind of dive into a little spoiler to kind of talk about it. But I will say overall, characters, I want to see them again. Johnny Storm, I love in this movie, this family. I feel like Marvel doesn't have a lot of characters that you want to go to the theater and see, especially this one. We got Avengers coming up. We had Captain America, Black Panther, Iron Man. All these characters that we're like, we've grown to love them and want to hang out with them. Thor, we want to hang out with them over the years. A new Avengers is coming, and we all like Spider Man, I guess, but really, besides that, I think we're pretty split on a lot of these characters we've gotten, and all the ones that are really fan favorites, we don't really have as much anymore. So I think this movie did a very important job of. I want to see this Fantastic Four again. I want to see them interact. I want to see them go off and team up with other Avengers, and we kind of have this chemistry going on. And these are characters we can root for. I think this family is something that people can really get behind and say, hey, regardless of how you feel about this movie, you like it, you hate it, you're in the middle. I think you want to see these characters again. I think they do a good job with that. So I do like that aspect. And overall, for this movie, I think the action delivers. So like I said, when I go to space is awesome. I think the villains deliver. I think the comedy doesn't overwhelm this movie. I think this is, if I'm getting a rating, I think this is a price of admission movie. I think you go to the theater, you see this on the big screen, really going to enjoy it. I would say paying full price. I kind of feel the same way about it as I do with Superman, where I would say with Superman, I walked into that and I said, hey, I don't have a lot of big problems here. I just felt like it didn't wow me at points. It didn't really make me walk out the theater buzzing like I did with F1. It didn't do that. I would say this movie is very much the same. There is a lot that I like here, but I didn't walk out this movie absolutely buzzing. I walked out and said, hey, there's a lot I like there. Now, there's a little more I dislike with this movie, but I just didn't have those moments where I walked out buzzing. And I think my problem when I say they ruined it is they missed on some of those points, which I will get into in a minute. But overall, if you haven't seen the movie, it's price of admission. I think you'll see it, you'll walk out and you'll like it. I don't think you'll love it. I think you'll like it. I think you'll say, hey, I do want to see these characters again, but Marvel still has some stuff to fix. So price of admission, pay that full price. That's where I would have it. I think is worth that. Okay. Let's dive into some stuff I didn't like. If you haven't seen the movie, this is going to be spoilers. So I'm not going to do too much, and we're going to do a spoiler discussion. But there's some stuff I have to talk about when I say this movie is very safe. Yeah. So we get to the point where they're like, "Hey, we're not trading. We're not trading our baby for Galactus. We want to keep him safe. We're stuck with this dynamic, and really, we got to figure it out. Obviously, they have a plan. I knew that wasn't going to work. And when we talked about this before, I said this planet is cooked. First of all, they shouldn't be able to beat Galactus easy. This should be almost impossible. They find ways in his movie to do it. I believe and this movie didn't have a lot of I'd say you felt like they're probably cooked, but you didn't necessarily feel the tension kind of creeping in. But I say, hey man, Thunderbolts. We saw them fly in, so we know they're running from something. Probably Galactus took their planet out, and they're flying away to get help in Earth 616. This movie kind of changes it up on us. One, they have this plan, they come together, whatever. That gets ruined very quickly. Galactus shows up on this planet and they're able to fight off Galactus in a way to send him into their little teleport thing across, and send him into deep space. I thought that was the safest choice And I'm not saying the action is bad. It's cool seeing the Fantastic Four work together, even though at times it's kind of funny. Like that clobbering time clip where it really does nothing is kind of funny. But it's like they're not going to be able to fight this off. What I really wanted to see, and a change up from typical Marvel format, is maybe they try and they fail and they say, look, there's nothing we can do. We can't save this planet. We gotta go. Like, hey, we maybe can fight them again. Maybe we can warn other planets. We know other planets are out there. We can warn people. We gotta get some help. We gotta go, and we can't save it from Galactus. I think that would have been well more. Again, I thought these people that were relying on them and that trusted in them and their ability not to save them and let them down would have really hit on the emotional beats. Emotional beats in this movie, I think they're decent, but there wasn't that big gravitational moment where I'm like, oh, I don't say gravitational moment, but that big moment where I feel like, man, like that really hits and I feel it. I think if this planet would have got destroyed, I would have really felt it. I think that was a direction to go, especially because we know they're going to show up in the event. We see them in Thunderbolts; they show up. Like we know they're leaving for some reason. Now we don't know why. So I thought that was a little bit of a bailout and a little bit too much of a safe choice. And I think that's one of Marvel's problems that they've been a little bit safe. And it's just like when when the audience left, everybody who said, and this was a collection, they were like, "Hey, I'm disappointed. I was kind of waiting for that to be good, and it just didn't hit that mark for me. I do think this movie's good, but I think they were waiting for that great moment. Marvel has built up this expectation, and I think they just don't quite hit it like we want them to. And I think that was the thing. They just played it a little too safe for me. So that is my big thing. I think they played it safe by saving this planet, and now we have no idea. We just see them in Avengers, and I guess that clip could be in Avengers, but it doesn't give us a starting point. And I think it's a little too happy-go-lucky walking into Avengers Doomsday. Obviously, in credit, we do see Doom. He does show up, but it's more of a cop-out. It's more of a, oh, Doom's here. And it's like, well, that's cool, but this planet was just in a dire moment a little bit ago. If he's from here, like, where was he at? He was just cool with Galactus eating the planet. Like, I just don't think that ending really let me down. Again, I like this movie. I do. I said it's price for admission. I said go in theater and see it, especially on the big screen. But that is a disappointment. But we're going to talk about it. We're going to really jump into it in our spoiler schedule. We'll get Scotty. We'll get Adonis back here. We will jump into that. But that is my review of Fantastic Four. Again, like the video, hit that sub button in the comments. Let me know what you thought of it. All that good stuff, man. Again, I'm really hoping Marvel delivers. I've liked what they've done, but I haven't loved it. And I'm with y'all. I really want to love again. So we will see if they are able to get it together. But I thought it was a solid movie. I do want to see the Fantastic Four again, and they will return in Doomsday. So can't wait for that. Again, like this video, sub. Hit the comments, all that. It's minor league films pretty much everywhere except Kuronocomics on TikTok. That's the only other place, but all that stuff is down in the bio. So check that out. Well, I appreciate you tuning in like that video. Got a lot of new subscribers, so I really appreciate y'all for doing that. Got a lot of stuff coming to you, so we'll tackle that. But all that good stuff, we will catch you next time.